absolutely free. Start your play with Red Friday's 1 gig broadband and TV for €62 a month. Switch in store or at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media, it's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. T's and C's apply. New customers only. 12-month contract. TCL Smart TV for new customers taking 1 gig broadband plus TV. €114 thereafter. Ends December 1st, 2025.
Gene Curran on Highland Radio.
And you're very welcome back. And as promised, we have our book review, and we are reviewing All the Colours of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. And joining me in the studio is Connie McGranaghan and Rosie mcHugh. Ladies, you are very welcome. So the book itself, it's difficult to review, I think, because there's so much happens that I'm afraid that we'll give out some spoilers. So I suppose we'll be a wee bit vague and try to give as much away as we can without spoiling for people who haven't read it yet. So Connie, just give us a wee synopsis of the book.
Okay, so the book, All the Colours of the Dark, is set in a small Missouri town called Montclair, and it's in the 1970s. So it begins with the main character, that is Joseph Patch McCauley, saving Misty, the daughter of a wealthy family, from being kidnapped. So in return, Patch himself is then taken. His loyal and best friend Saint Brown, refuses to give up on him, and she won't rest until she finds Patch. So then in doing this, she's really not living her own life, Saint, but while the rest of the small town gives up on Patch, Saint refuses to do so. So it's a story sort of, I suppose you could say, of obsession. Saint is obsessed about finding Patch. Patch, whilst in captivity, says that he has met this girl, Grace, that she was also in captivity. And I suppose you're saying about not giving things away. Yeah. Anyway, I suppose it happens quite early in the story.
Give anything away there,
it happens quite early in the story, but Patch also becomes quite obsessed about finding Grace. And then Misty, I suppose the person who Patch has rescued and saved from being in captivity, she becomes obsessed by Patch. You know, it's sort of, there's that theme of obsession sort of running through it.
Yeah. And I suppose there are so many characters in it. I suppose Patch and Saint are the two main characters. It revolves around their friendship and I suppose their love for each other. But there's so many ups and downs, Rosie, in it as well.
Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, it's a real journey, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And it's a crime story. It is a crime story. But what I liked about it is that there is a love story there as well. But yeah, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of really couple of good twists, and I found the ending kind of wasn't expecting how it ended, you know. So yeah, there's a lot to it. Yeah, a lot of different kind of turns down different roads, and then you're like, oh right, how is that connected? And you know, yeah,
there really was. Yeah,
yeah, there was. Yeah, oh definitely.
And whenever I asked Connie to read the book, she had read it already, but you said you hadn't read it, and you said that it wouldn't be a book that you'd pick up just from the title.
Yeah, no, that's what I found most interesting about it was that I'd seen this book on different platforms and social media over the summer, and it didn't appeal to me at all. I thought, oh no, I don't really like the idea of that. And then whenever Connie messaged me to say this is the book, I was thinking the same. I was like, oh God, right, okay, I'm not sure about this. But then I really loved it. So I found that very interesting, that it's a book that if I was in a bookstore, a bookshop or wherever, I probably wouldn't pick up this book or buy this book. But yet I really enjoyed it, you know. So I thought that was interesting. I thought great characters in it, and the friendship between Patch and Saint. I loved it. I loved that.
So it wouldn't have been your genre.
No, it wouldn't have been. Yeah, but I just thought that was interesting, and that I ended up actually liking it. So maybe
step out of your comfort
zone.
Don't
judge a book by its cover, literally.
Exactly.
And you were talking there about characters. How did you feel that Chris Whitaker portrayed the characters, Connie? Do you think he brought them to life?
Yeah, oh absolutely, brought them to life. But what I was saying to Rosie just there before we came in, they were all very ethically inclined, you know, very, very moral. Like even Patch was like a Robin Hood type character in the end up. Next, the sheriff, very ethically inclined. Even Sammy, the local drunk who seemed to have plenty of money, he gave Patch a place to heal. Do you know what I mean? Everybody was very, and then who do you call her? Oh, not Saint. You know, with her husband and what had happened there. So Patch took revenge on him, and that was it. But everybody was very moral. It was. I found that a wee bit boring. You know, there was kind of, you know, it was nearly like mass. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I suppose one of the things about the book was that it spans 25 years from 1976 to 2001. It's a long book, and I suppose one of the things I thought was maybe in the middle of the book it sort of dragged a wee bit, but the ending, the last third of the book, I thought was just super. It made up for the for the slowness in the middle. Rosie, would you think of that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I agree with that. I thought the middle bit there was like maybe 6 chapters for what they could have covered in one chapter. You know, I didn't like the short chapters. I didn't like that. You know, so there was like about 6 chapters for what could have covered, say, in one chapter. So then, you know, you wonder, did he realise it himself, the writer? Because then he tied it up really nicely. Then at the end, didn't he?
Lovely. The end
you
was
know,
lovely.
like so.
Maybe he was trying to write something that was going
like
to
like a big
what do you call it, Ulysses job?
Yeah.
Because it was very long.
It was long, yeah. That's the thing.
I was starting to
over
lose
600
the will.
pages, you know, so that might put some people off.
And one of the things that I suppose got through the 600 pages was the fact that the chapters were really short, and it was divided into, I think, just about 6 different sections, and there was nearly like 6 different books in the one thing. The Pirate and the Beekeeper, and then the next part was the Painter and Cops and Robbers, the Hunt, the Prisoner, and Myths and Legends. So each one of those parts was a sort of a part of the lives of the characters, Connie.
That's right.
And
that's right.
You know, that's what kept me going, was this short chapters, and then the part dragged in the middle, but the ending was fabulous. I really
Oh,
did
the
see it.
ending was great. The ending was great. No, it was a super book. Like it was, but it could have been shorter. It was just the length of it. I was just like I had read it, as I'd said. Oh, I can't remember what day was it published. Whenever it was published, when it first came out, I'd read it. But I couldn't really remember all of it. And when you had suggested doing it, so I listened to it then on Audible when I was walking. And when I was walking over the course of about a month, because it took that long to finish it, you know. But I'd forgotten a lot of things about it. But I was sort of like, oh my God, I was tearing my hair out at some point, you know, in some points. It was just the whole convent thing. Do you remember the convent? How they found out he was buying the postcards from the convent. The killer. You know, and the way they all found everything out, and this Grace, and then finding her or whatever, and all that. It just dragged on, I thought.
And I suppose one of the things that because Grace was this girl that he was in captivity with, I suppose we're not spoiling, because that's, as you said, it's very early on in the book.
It is early on.
But then whenever he was found, she disappeared, and we wonder if she was a figment of his imagination.
That's right.
Did you think she was real or not? Without saying if she was real or not, Rosie, did you think, is he ever going to get her, or is he not going to get her? What's the story here?
I wasn't sure. You know, I wasn't sure if she was real or not. And then in the book later on, you find out if she is real or not. But yeah, no, I wasn't sure. Yeah, to be honest, because it was the way it was written. It was kind of the way how he described her and how he remembered her. You know, in some ways she did sound a wee bit, you know, unreal.
But then he was saying things like, say, describing a city, somewhere he had never been to, but he was saying Grace had told him, you know, about Missouri or about Seattle or about wherever, and he was like, how would I know that? Because I'd never been there. You know, so that made me kind of think, well, maybe she is real.
Yes, and you know, you're never sure. Yeah, so that's the element of mystery. You see, there is a lot of kind of mystery to different, you know, parts to it.
I suppose the part too of him becoming the painter, like befriending Sammy and being able to draw pictures of Grace, and then there were other young girls that went missing as well. And again, there were some really good twists in what happened to Kaylee, the girl that disappeared as well. That as a friend of mine read the book, and she said she thought that she sort of got where it was going to, but I never got where that was going to. Connie, what about yourself?
No, I didn't get that at all. I was do you know what, as I said, there was parts where I was sort of losing it because I was becoming disinterested because it was so long. But I thought the whole Dr. Toombs thing and Nick's the sheriff, thought they were, while again very moral, but good characters. Like again, I said about the theme of obsession. There was also a background theme of about abortion. That was a big theme within the book as well. You know, so like people that were pro and anti, and you know, so that was there as well. But no, I hadn't seen that coming.
And I suppose domestic abuse, again, Rosie, was another thing that was in it, with a certain relationship in the book.
Yes, yeah, that's the only thing. Another kind of maybe, and if you had to pick a negative, there's mature themes there, you know, But I thought it was written about kind of very sensitively, you know. I thought it was dealt with well, without saying too much, you know, who was affected. But that one, there was one specific chapter that was very descriptive, but I thought it was done well without, you know, being too graphic or too, you know, disturbing.
I suppose that's one of the things that I thought about Chris Whitaker, that his writing is very descriptive, very evocative. You can actually, you know, you can see the beach, you can see the countryside and everything that. I thought he was a lovely storyteller.
Yeah, and Patch at the beginning, like he sounded like such a lovely kid.
Yeah.
And her. The way that they just clicked. Like she'd been inviting everybody from school to come and see her beehive, and nobody came, and he just showed up by chance because he wanted something for free. He wanted some honey. You know, it was lovely. I found all that very crawdad.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what it was like,
and even a bit of Kristen Hanna, I suppose, and all that. But no, it was beautifully written.
Yeah.
You know.
And again, another thing that I sort of got from the book too was class distinction. That Patch came from a very low class background, and Misty was.
Yes.
And there was that as well. There was a lot of things going on in the book.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, that was dealt with as well, and then how Misty's parents didn't really approve. Do you remember of Patch at the start, and then. But that evolved in the novel as well, without giving too much away again, didn't it?
That's right, so it did.
And that was a nice development to see, you know, the way.
And Misty as well, again, stood by her guns.
Yes.
You know, she said, you know, I love him or whatever, and she didn't play the daughter, the loving daughter to the hilt. But no, that's right. And Misty's father trying to pay him off and everything.
And who was your favourite character? I suppose we've talked of Misty and we've talked of Patch and Saint, and I suppose all the other minor characters. Saint's grandmother, was it that
Nora?
Norma.
Norma.
And
she
Patch's mother, who was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Again, there were likeable characters. All of them.
There were so many of them. There were so many of them. And at the beginning, I just loved the sheriff, Sheriff Nix, because I thought he really looked after Saint. I would say as it progressed, I became kind of keener on Sammy because I thought he'd a bit of life about him. Do you know what I mean? There was a bit of crack about him. He seemed to, you know, like a few drinks and everything else, and there was a bit of fun about him. But no, I would say, I suppose Saint. Saint was that, a saint.
And the pros and the cons, what do you think were the pros, or what do you think were the good points for you, Connie, in the book? What did you like most about it, and what did you dislike most?
Well, what I liked most, I suppose, were the characters, because they were also incredibly nice, you know, but what I didn't like was maybe they were just a wee bit too nice. I would have liked a wee bit more grit. A wee bit more grit.
And yourself, Rosie, what were the things that you liked most about it, and what were the things that you didn't particularly like about it, or was there anything in?
Well, what I liked, a couple of things I liked about it was, the first thing was that it's a book that I wouldn't have chosen. So then when I really liked it, I thought that was
surprised.
great. Yeah. But I also liked the fact that it seemed to be, he managed to write like a crime story, you know, coinciding with a love story. Like, you know, it does tend to be one or the other. You know, in most books nowadays, if you read your crime books, they're very rare for there to be this beautiful love story as well. And then, you know, the love stories, it's very rare for there to be any kind of crime in it. So I thought that was very clever. Like, one chapter was, oh yeah, that's right, we're looking for a killer here, you know, or an abductor or whatever. And then the other chapter was like, oh yeah, that's right, this is the love story. You know, so I thought that, I really liked that, yeah. the only thing that might have put me off was that, like I said before, what could have been written maybe in one chapter was covered, in 6 or 7 chapters. But the chapters were very short, so it's very minor.
And out of 10,
I had to pick a fault.
Out of 10, what would you give it?
I suppose 9. Yeah, 9 out of 10 because I didn't love it with all my heart.
And Connie, what about yourself?
I think I would give it a 7.
Yeah,
It was just too long.
And it's going to be made into a TV series here as well.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere as well that I think that he based it on sort of a personal story as well. I think that he was actually had a very sort of a violent father, and he was often put into rooms in the dark himself. So that's gave him a little bit of inspiration for the book. But I give it about a 9. I think just the one thing that I thought was it was a bit long in the middle, but I loved the characters and I loved his writing technique and his development of characters, and I certainly would recommend it for a book club. There's an awful lot to discuss in it, I think, for book clubs. And
it is a good book club read. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you'd recommend it then to...
Oh, for a book club. And I would recommend it.
Yes,
and like anything that I was looking at, the different reviews, so many people recommended it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And loved it. I would definitely recommend it.
Perfect. Well, thank you once again for giving up your Sunday nights. And as I said,
Thank you.
We finally got it reviewed, and
Yes.
it's lovely. And as I said, I really do appreciate you taking time out. And you're on your own book club. Reviews.
My TikTok.
Yeah, and I see that you're reviewing Trespasses.
Yeah.
Yes, another lovely book. We reviewed that a few years ago now.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
I love the TV series as well. And Dahi from New Mills, he's fabulous.
Yeah,
so
the wee
congratulations to Paul and Una and all.
Unbelievable.
Yes, absolutely fabulous. Certainly a career in front of him.
Yeah, there was nothing, you couldn't find fault with any of it.
Yeah.
It was fabulous.
So thank you, and we'll be looking out now on the TV for this one as well. So ladies, thank you once again. And
You're welcome.